The Bose QuietComfort 45 is the company's follow-up to its extremely popular QuietComfort 35 Series 2. These feature a few upgrades like better battery, updated Bluetooth, and a smoother look throughout. But is this enough to justify the upgrade? And is there enough here to justify the $329 price tag? Let's find out. Hey folks, Norb here. Today I'm taking a look at the Bose QuietComfort 45 or QC45s for short. These were released in late 2021, so I'll also be comparing them to the previous generation, the QC35 Series 2, which were released in 2018 to see where you'll get the best bang for the buck. Here's my quick takeaway. If I have to describe the Bose QC45s in a word, minimalist. They took away all the things that they felt weren't needed and kept only those that they felt were. Ultimately, these are well designed, but my question was, given the price, did they cut too much? To answer that, I'll be taking a look at things like design, comfort, sound, features, and the overall bang for the buck. Use the bookmarks below if there's a specific section you want to skip to. Before I go on, a quick shout out to Adil Mohammed who commented on my AirPods long-term review. He says, I was almost going to buy the AirPods Max, but this video changed my mind and I rather bought the Bose QC45s instead. Adil, your comment was well timed, and if you have time, I'd love to hear about your experience with the QC45s. I'm looking to build a positive tech community that includes you, so comment here or on my Twitter at NorbReviews, and I may feature your comment in a future video. Remember, if you like the information I provide here, please be sure to hit the thumbs up because that's a huge help to the channel. If you want to see more of my reviews, be sure to hit subscribe and hit the bell. If you're brand new to the channel, I grade things on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 means I hate it, 2 means I don't like it, 3 means it's okay, 4 means I like it, and 5 means that I love it. With that, let's get started. In the box, these come with the headphones, a travel case, a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and a 2.5mm to 3.5mm auxiliary cable. One thing I want to applaud is this traveling case. It's well thought out with enough space for the headphones and to store wires in the internal pockets, and it's protective. Not just that, the faux leather looks great. This is the kind of stuff that I would pay an extra $20 to get, so I'm really glad that Bose included it. This is additional value. As for the headphones, when it comes to the looks, I'll put these at a 4 out of 5. They don't look bad, and they look great when worn, so I kind of like them. I'm just not really in love with them. For example, the buttons here along the sides, they're attractive and rounded, but the power button on the ear cup, useful as it is, really sticks out. Still, these are nice and clean. Putting them on, they don't stick out very much at all, and they do a good job of contouring to the head. With the smooth plastic, the monotone coloration, and the taut headband and ear pads, these do a great job of being almost forgettable. That's actually a good thing for me, and if you are comparing them to the QC35s, these are a definite, if relatively minor, improvement. When it comes to the build, these definitely get a solid 5 out of 5. These manage to both feel sturdy and extremely light at the same time. They come in at 236 grams or 8.3 ounces, so I really like how light these feel. Also, the plastic used throughout the body feels great to the touch. The headband itself is built with an impact-resistant glass-filled nylon, which helped protect it against falls. And stressing the headband, you can hear there's no cracking of any sort. I'm not trying to break these, I'm just showing how flexible these are. These feel flexible and sturdy. Also, the synthetic leather padding along the headband and the ear pads is magnificent, both in looks and comfort. Speaking of which, the clamping force on these feels light without being loose, which makes these a dream to wear long term under most scenarios, even when wearing them with glasses, which is a big thing for me. They're comfortable for bigger heads and ears too, so anyone should be able to wear these for long periods. In fact, these are so comfortable, I've actually fallen asleep with them on. They're breathable, so there's not much ear heat, and in the ear cups, they're angled for a more natural feel, even to my big ears. So for comfort, I'm giving these a 5 out of 5. I love them. The only complaint I had about these is that I wish the pads were a little thicker. When my ears go into the ear cups, the sound profile changes for me. But this is a minor complaint at best. I'm being nitpicky, and in my book, if I have to be nitpicky, that's a good place to be. If you do wear them to the gym, protect them because they are not sweat-proof. I like to use a Sweat Z ear covers, which I'll link to in the description below. Back to the build. The hinges also feel excellent. Loose but sturdy. In fact, each is made with a cast metal hinge, so they should survive standard use just fine in the long term. The sliders too feel nice and secure, even if they use clickers. And finally, the buttons, which feel sturdy, don't wobble, and are comfortable to the touch. All in all, these are just really intelligently built. Next, let's take a look at the user interaction design. This is all about how Bose thought through how users would interact with the device itself. I give these a 5 out of 5. Starting with the buttons, these are well-rounded, comfortable, and easy to identify to the touch, because of the different heights. A lot of companies try to put symbols on their buttons, and unless you're used to reading Braille, most of us have a hard time identifying what the button is supposed to do. Note that these don't have a touch control at all. The power button on the side looks terrible, but there's no mistaking what and where it is. No way to accidentally turn the headphones off. From a looks perspective, this looks clunky, but the usability is phenomenal. And I love that these turn on instantly instead of you having to press and hold the button for a few seconds. This is also the button that you use for pairing. All you do is push it and hold it, it'll get into pairing mode. Speaking of pairing, you can actively connect these to two devices at once and seamlessly switch between the two. So if you're listening to a movie on your computer and a phone call comes in, one will switch right to the other and then it'll switch right back when you're done with the call. They use Bluetooth 5.1, which means lower power usage and a longer range, though realistically you'll get about 30 feet in most situations. All in all, I never once had an issue using these at home, leaving my phone on one side of my apartment and then walking to the furthest point at the place. The signal went through walls and distance clearly. Obviously, construction materials will impact this, but all in all, 4 out of 5. As for the app, really, there's not much to it except you can see where the sources are connected to the headphones and it lets you disconnect or connect to them from there, which is a very nice touch. It also includes a very simple walkthrough of the headphones features. Now, moving on to sound, noise canceling, and calls. Normally, I talk about sound and active noise canceling separately, but in this situation, the active noise canceling directly impacts sound, so I'll need to talk about them together. Let's start with the active noise canceling. I'll give these a 3 out of 5. I both love and hate them. First, what I love. The active noise canceling on these works phenomenally, and I'd stack these up against stuff like the Sony WH-1000X Mark IV anytime on how they block sound. Also, their aware mode, which is what lets sounds come in from the outside, is super clear and works very well. Second, maybe only to the AirPods Max. I was impressed with how well it worked. On that basis alone, I give these a 5 out of 5. But the cabin pressure effect is definitely noticeable. It's not terrible, but it will be a problem for anyone who's sensitive to the cabin pressure because the QC45s, they only have 2 modes. Quiet, which is active noise canceling on, and aware, which lets sound come in from the outside. You can flip between these two using a button on the left ear cup, but here's where I ran into problems. First, if you are sensitive to the cabin pressure effect at all, for example, if it gives you headaches because of the pressure it puts on your ears, or if you have tinnitus that's aggravated by it, then these are probably not for you because you will never be able to properly enjoy them. Your options will be to wear these always in aware mode, which means you'll have to listen to them louder because stuff will be coming from the outside, or just not to wear them, which sort of defeats the purpose of owning headphones. Second, the active noise canceling has a surprisingly loud hiss. Normally, all active noise canceling headsets have this. It's just part of how they cancel the outside noise, and it's usually so low it's not noticeable. But with these, the hiss is notable to the point where it raises the noise floor. If you listen to very quiet music, for example, you're sitting there listening to Mahler's Fifth Symphony or something, this will get in the way. All in all, when it comes to noise canceling, I think Bose's drive towards minimalism played against them because it interferes with the two areas they're strongest at, their comfort and their sound. They should have added a way to turn both quiet and aware modes off, and this is why I dropped them to a 3 out of 5. What's weird is that this wasn't at all an issue with the previous generation. This is something that got worse with the QC45s. With all that said, the sound itself, ignoring the hiss from the noise canceling, I put it a 5 out of 5. It's astounding. The only complaint I have is that the app doesn't have any EQ you can use, but with sound this good, you don't really need an equalizer. In fact, Bose advertises a couple of features on this front, Active EQ and their tri-port design. The Active EQ is exactly what it sounds like. The system equalizes the music according to the volume and need so that things keep sounding clear and don't sound distorted. Using these at every volume with different genres, these never once sounded distorted to me. As for the tri-port design system, that's the way of being able to open up the soundstage a bit by venting the headphones some. This is supposed to help with the clarity too, and I think it does the job. Now, this is when we get into conversations about closed back headphones versus open back headphones. These are closed back headphones because you can tell the back is closed, but the tri-port design opens it up just a little bit. So it's sort of open back or pretend open back. Anyway, the point being is that the sound stage is pretty good on this for what they are. The sound on these is very clear. The bass, the mids, and the highs all separate very well and are all well represented. In fact, these have a pretty flat response with just a bit of a bump in the bass. These are just splendid for just about anything you want to listen to: music, movies, audiobooks, whatever. And the sound is at least as good when wired to your computer using the auxiliary cable. So, nothing but good things from this front. Now, if you do have a third-party EQ, for example, you're using Spotify and you're using the EQ there, then you can have some fun with these and really push their limits. To that end, I'd say play with the bass on these. These have such a great low-end rumble when you give them the opportunity. A quick technical side note, these handle the AAC and SBC audio codecs. If you want to see why this matters, check out my Bluetooth codecs beginner's guide linked above my head and in the description below. Finally, I'll add phone calls, and that's a 5 out of 5 with these. The sound is completely clear, the environmental noises are minimized. Using the app, you can change how loudly you hear your own voice during calls. This is great if you're the kind of person that tends to raise your voice during a phone call for some reason. Setting it on high might help you keep your voice down. Battery life on these is advertised as being 24 hours, and that's about what I've experienced, so no surprises there. They charge from empty to full in about 2.5 hours, and they get about 3 hours of music with about 15 minutes of charge if they're empty. I'm rating these at 4 out of 5. Note that these use USB-C, which is a nice upgrade over the QC35s, which used micro USB. When it comes to additional features, as I said, these are minimalist. Still, there are a couple of items of note. The first is Simple Sync, which Bose advertises as a way to pair these with other Bose speakers to create a personalized sound experience. I didn't get a chance to try that out because I don't own any other Bose products. The other is a more basic feature. Press and hold the Play Answer Calls button to launch your phone's voice assistant. Because of this, I'm not going to grade these extra features. Here are my conclusions. When it comes to overall value for the dollar, these get a 4.3 out of 5, which is among the best scores I've ever given. Bose doesn't include a lot of features with these. There's no on-ear detection. There's no way to turn active noise canceling off without turning transparency mode on. There's no manual EQ on the app. There are no advanced features of any kind, and they're not even all that good looking. And yet, the sound is magnificent. The comfort is a personal choice, but most people will really enjoy it. Material quality is excellent. In short, these are what most people expect out of a pair of superior wireless headphones. And all those extra features, exactly that, extra features. Part of me feels like Bose is pulling some punches here because they want to reserve those for the NC700s, which is normally $50 more. But when you think about things like the triport design and their active EQ, I think they're doing a bang-up job anyway. So, should you buy these? It depends. If you're sensitive to the cabin pressure effect, then no, end of story. If you have the QC35s, don't upgrade. There's no real reason for you to do so. The sound is identical, and except for the battery life, there's not really much that was added. If you're looking to get a pair of Bose, then it depends. As I said, these sell for $329. I've seen them on sale for as low as $279, which is a solid price for the quality of what you get. The QC35 Series 2 normally sells for $299 now, but I found them as low as $179. If you can find these at a substantial discount, I'd say just go with the QC35 Series 2 and don't bother with the QC45s. But at full price, you might as well go ahead and do the QC45s. Or you might want to pay the extra $50 and get the Bose 700 instead. These add a few extra features like manual EQ, customizable noise canceling, and thicker ear pads, which make a big difference in the overall usability. If you're looking for non-Bose alternatives, there are plenty, but the Sennheiser PXC550 Mark II would probably be my recommendations since they offer a similar overall quality and portability while being easy to find at around the $160 mark. For something with a similar sound signature and more of a premium build quality, check out the Bang & Olufsen Beoplay H9s, which can be found for about $350 or lower. If you want a budget option though, the Soundcore Live Q35 is definitely worth a look. Still, the Bose QuietComfort 45s are spectacular headphones, and while they feel a little on the pricey side, what they offer is all top notch. Would I buy them knowing what I know now? Honestly, I'd probably go to eBay and check out the Bose store. I'll link it in the description below. Bose tends to sell their refurbished headphones there. Those are like new, and I wouldn't hesitate for a second to get a pair from there. You could get those and save some money in the process, or just upgrade to the 700s. But if I needed to find a pair of headphones in a pinch, and they would be my only over-the-ear headphones, I'd go with these without a problem. They are fantastic. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. If you want to keep watching, check out one of these videos. With that, take care and see you next time.